From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
The first 645 pages of the reconciliation bill have been released, and there's lots of checks in there for you. In this fourth stimulus check updated 2021, we'll go over the first 645 pages of what could be an 8,000-page bill, and we'll go in over the first look at those checks in that bill. Tons of checks. Checks for hazard pay, checks for vehicles, checks for bikes, checks for seniors, checks for workers. Then in the second half of this video, we'll be going over the next 12 clusters of checks that are proposed and are likely to be done by the end of the week. In the third part, we'll be going over nearly a half dozen other checks, including checks for seniors, checks for free internet, and checks for workers that are proposed and are likely to get done very quickly. Lots of checks, and these are in the fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill. In this first look, we will go over all the checks that are in this reconciliation budget bill, the biggest payout we've ever seen in this history channel. Then we'll turn to the big success stories from Lorica, Suelan, Patrice, and Jen, who overnight got $38,000 from this channel. It's a big day, and there's so much exciting news, but the big one, of course, is your first look at the first 645 pages of checks for you in that reconciliation. The 645 pages are out, and we'll have the first look and going over all these incredible checks. Because the toast is toast and the butter is butter, and I'm here, you're here, and live from Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm here live with you in Santa Monica, California. And the necessary wardrobe today is mittens and a scarf because it is cold. My goodness. Hello, winter. Hello, winter. What is going on here? I am freezing. Hope the weather is good where you are. In this fourth stimulus check update 2021, the first look at the reconciliation checks. The first 645 pages of your reconciliation budget bill released. And I have for you all these checks. The biggest payout we've ever seen in the history of this channel, including $4,000 to care for your seniors, including $51,000 of reoccurring monthly stimulus checks, including checks to buy vehicles, checks to buy cars, and checks to buy trucks, checks to tend for the elderly, and those are confirmed. Those are done. Those are in this first 645 pages. Then we're going to go over in the first look at the other 12 items that are proposed in those other sets of checks, and then we'll go to the third cluster. Nearly no less than 3 clusters of checks, but the first 645 done, deal, signed, sealed practically, now released, and you're in the first look of this video, you're going to go over these checks in the reconciliation bill. It's incredible, great news. Then we'll be cutting, of course, to the biggest success story that Lorica, Suelan, and Patrice, and Jen got from third stimulus. And if we have a little time, we'll gut to fifth stimulus as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Fastest growing channel. And thank you for making yesterday the most watched day of this channel in several months. People want information, they want to know how to get money, and they want to learn how to get this money, and this channel and you as a community are winning big time. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right into the first cluster of checks. Yesterday, I showed you more. I showed you the first details, but today we're going to go more into them. On Friday, the House of Representatives released the first 645 pages of what could be upwards of an 8,000-page bill called your fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill. The first 645 pages, all checks for the American people, all checks for you, progressive priorities, and the importance of understanding what these checks are, how they got to this spot, and who wrote it is very critical. Number one, The way they're doing this is because it's only Democrats of Democrats, is they're having verbal meetings behind closed doors in their offices and saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? I agree upon that. Okay, you agree upon it. Let's go write this up. So they have agreed to these 645 pages. These were the easy items. These are the items they had no problem about agreeing upon. They said, done, just go write it up. So they wrote it up, and these are the items that have now come as a result of an oral agreement between Senate and House Democrats. The authors of the 640 pages is the House Democrats, and here you go. Here are some of the checks. I'm going to go over all the 645 pages in this recording starting right now. Then I'm going to go over the next 12 sets of checks in the second cluster. And in the third cluster, I'm going to go over nearly a dozen other checks. And I'm going to separate out each one for you and show you why there's different clusters. All right, here we go. 645 pages. First item, which is really wonderful, is lifetime hazard pay. Incredible. Hazard pay manifested itself on this channel in 2020 in a proposal that never got it to the books, but then finally, under third stimulus, it got in there. Third stimulus got hazard pay in by taking an old tax code called the Earned Income Tax Credit and modifying it so that more people are eligible for it. They made the eligibility easier by dropping the age and increasing the salary, the income. And then they took the amount that you would get and grew it substantially. That was the Earned Income Tax Credit modified to cover those essential workers. But under third stimulus, it was only to last for a few years. The great news is that of the 645-page bill, they make it lifetime. So if you remain as an essential worker over the next few years, you get this Earned Income Tax Credit every year. Item number 2. This one surprised me. Not on my radar. I did not see this one coming. $4,000, up to $4,000 paid to you if you tend for the elderly. A lot of people are care providers for elderly individuals, maybe a person in their household. And now the federal government will pay you up to $4,000 for caring for the elderly. On the other side, they'll also pay you for caring for very young children. And that provider check is up to $4,000. Wow. Now let's go over some of the items broadly, and then I'll go over some of the specifics of them starting right now. Again, this is the first 645 pages of what could be upwards of an 8,000-page bill released as a result of oral agreements between the Democrats. All right, here are some of the items. More grants for college students, money to fix homes, and then lots of money for putting to cars, vehicles, and bicycles. All right, let's go over the specifics of that starting right now. They're going to have lots of grants for fixing things, and one of them is for rehabbing homes in low-income communities. So they'll be providing new incentives if you want to go out and rehab or modify or repair a home in a low-income community. Then they'll be giving lots of money towards purchases of electric items. So you need an electric bike. They're not particularly that expensive. You go on Walmart, I looked at one last night, and they will give you 15% towards buying an electric bike. They will give you $7,500 for purchasing a electric vehicle for your personal use. That's up to $7,500 for purchase of a vehicle for your personal use. That's for the number three major U.S. auto manufacturers. They're considering expanding it for non-U.S. manufacturers as well. And then they'll also give you money towards purchasing an electric vehicle for commercial purposes. Then, of course, we just went over the $4,000 for caring for the elderly and $4,000 for caring for the children. Well, how about this? $51,000. Wow. They will be paying upwards of $51,000 with MSC's monthly stimulus checks or multiple stimulus checks over 18 years. What are they doing? They're taking the child tax credit of the third stimulus and making it a permanent change to the tax code. Under third stimulus, they modified the tax code so that parents in low-income families of children under the age of approximately 18 will get approximately $300 a month over 12 months, $3,600 a year approximately. Well, they're going to make that a modification permanently to the tax code. So if you are the adult of a minor child, age newborn to 18, and you're in a low income household, you will get upwards of $3,600 a year every year that you qualify for till that child becomes an adult in 18 years. That's $51,000 approximately per child, MSCs over 18 years. Incredible numbers across the board. And let's continue. What else is in there? Well, we have lots of money for college students. So we have the Pell's grant, which will now be tax-free, and they'll be offering other grants for college students on top of that, some that will be given to the colleges and then will come back to you. And there you go. That is the start, and that is the first 645 pages of what will be about an 8,000-page bill. These are the result of oral agreements among the Democrats. So these items over the finish line. Guess what? I got another 12 items of checks coming up next. These are 12 items that the Democrats have had enough discussions about to the press, that the broadcast media and myself both agree that these 12 items of checks, and there's a lot of them in there, a lot of checks for you, will get over the finish line. We're likely to see them written up in the next few days, if not hours. The third group of, and I'm going to get to that in just a second, the third group of checks are items we've heard over the last 2 or so months, and there's most likely that they're getting to the finish line because they're also advocated by the president. Let's step back for a second, however, and understand how we got here. We got here by separating roads and bridges into infrastructure and into bipartisan and keeping your money in something called the reconciliation, the fourth stimulus reconciliation. And that is where all these incredible checks are. But did you know that right today you can get paid from another stimulus package? That's called the prior one, or the third stimulus package. And overnight, 4 viewers got revealed to this channel that they got paid massive sums of money this week. You may have saw them on the social media campaigns of this channel, the social media accounts of this channel, and I congratulate them personally. It is Lorica, Suelan, Patrice, and Jen. Jen got $38,000 of rent. She says, I want to thank you, LALATE, because of you, from the bottom of my heart. I've been able to receive $38,000 of rent assistance. I could not have done it without you. You've helped my brother, sister, and several other tenants in our community with rental assistance because of you, LALATE. I'm Chastity Love on YouTube, and I will continually push your channel to anyone who listens. My husband works with government officials and has continually pushed your channel as well. It's not only informative, motivated, and directly needed for our public. Thank you, LALATE. You have touched so many lives. So kind. Thank you so much, Jen. Patrice got her EIDL, $15,000. I've been following you for over a year, and I love you. I want to thank you and thank you. I just got approved, and it's thanks to you and your community you've built. You're amazing. Congratulations, Patrice. Suelan, who also goes by Stay Lowry, says, I got just approved for $523 a month for SNAP. That's incredible. That's $6,000 a year. And I'm also I also got $5 a month for internet. Great. Thank you so much for all you do for everyone. I love you. I love you too, Suelan. And then Lorica, she got a $75 MasterCard in the mail. I love that. She says, I want to thank you for your alerts. They've helped me tune in case I missed something. I appreciate it. Have you signed up for the LA alerts? It's totally free. It's in the description of this video. She says, thank you again for all you've done and for the new Purple Patrol. It's been so much nicer being able to chat with others and not have so many trolls jumping in. I love you. And I love you too. And I want to thank the Purple Patrol because, boy, that has been the game changer for this site. This site has absolutely skyrocketed since Saturday because of you, the Purple Patrol. Let's cut back now to fourth stimulus and let's go into the second cluster of checks. Now, again, which are these checks? These are checks that the broadcast media believe are going to get done. I believe they are as well because we've heard about them from these Democratic legislators day in, day out over the last few weeks. Heard about yesterday, heard about the day before. Here are these checks. I'm going to go slow because they are a lot of them. This, again, is for stimulus reconciliation. Not in bill format yet, but proposed enough that the broadcast media and myself believe it's going to get to the finish line. Expansion of the paid leave and paid family leave, and expansion of the paid medical leave. What's the difference between the two? Paid family leave is if your spouse is pregnant and you have to stay home with her. That's a wonderful occurrence. You have to stay home and you had a job and you had to stay home, but because of it, they're going to be increasing that amount of money and increasing the eligibility for it. And then paid medical leave is if you have to stay home from work because someone, unfortunately, in your household is sick. Now, we detailed that a lot under the third stimulus before it became a law. Examples of it were massive sums of money, not small amounts of money. Based upon, of course, how much money you make. I think it was up to $70,000 was the threshold. So if you made more than $70,000, they weren't going to pay you more. But I think it was at $70,000, they were paying you $1,700 a week. Yes. Now, if you make less than $70,000, let's say you make $30,000, then you split in half, then that would be $800 something a week. That is enormous sums of money. Now, of course, we don't have the breakdowns yet for this, but this could be a lot if a family member has to stay home because they're pregnant, or you have to stay home because your child is sick. Doesn't have to be because of COVID. It's just sick. These items are lifetime changes to the tax code. So they're not COVID changes. These are just someone has to stay home because they got the flu, something like that. Incredible sums of money. Then a build up of child care programs, extension of the household tax credit, which will increase the child tax credit, expansion of Medicare benefits. These are for my seniors, including checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing, and reducing the Medicare eligibility age. You can hear this in the third cluster as well. Increasing the Affordable Care Act subsidies, and there we go. Here come our money for education. Lots of free money for education, lots of free checks. Here we go. Number one, free pre-kindergarten. So the federal government will provide you money to send your child to kindergarten, pre-kindergarten for free. Then you want to go back to college, you want to get an extra degree, you want to get an extra education, the federal government will pay for it. Tuition-free community college will be provided under the fourth stimulus recon. Then there'll be a lots of grants for transportation that are tied to green energy, and also then for weatherization of your home, which is very important for people in hurricane-type environments. Again, we don't have the specifics of the weatherization of home. I can only do so much in a 45-minute video. But that is our second cluster. These, again, are about 12-plus items that the broadcast media and myself have heard enough from the Democrats that they believe these will be released in the next cluster of pages from the bill. Wow. Now, let's turn over and understand where we are right now. Where we are right now is they have separated roads and bridges, which is infrastructure, away from your money, which is the reconciliation. The reconciliation will be all checks for the American people, all progressive checks, all progressive priorities. The reconciliation passed for procedural purposes several weeks ago. That means that there'll be a recon, and it'll be $3.5 trillion in all checks from the American people. Let's go over how this works so you understand the separation of the two paths. The reconciliation is a done deal for purposes of the price tag. All Democratic senators, all Democratic House members have already agreed they'll be doing a recon. The price tag will be $3.5 trillion. Even Joe Manchin voted yes. That recon is also called the budget bill or the progressive social reform plan. The recon procedural, done. So what are we doing right now? We're doing what's called the recon substantive. And those 645 pages you just saw, that's the substantive part, in which we determine how committees spend the money. So we just saw something there where we talked about rehabbing or repairing homes in low-income communities. Well, they've already agreed they're going to do it. They're just going over the provisions of how they do it. Is the number this number? Is the eligibility that eligibility? And that is why we're at the cusp of the finish line for those particular items. Now, let's briefly cut back to Third stimulus. What's important to understand is that while we're waiting for this fourth stimulus to finish, because we're right there, third stimulus is still paying today. And that's why we had those wonderful comments I started with from Lorica, Suelan, Patrice, and Jen, getting anywhere from $50 to $36,000 this week, because this money is available right now. It's money for rent, utilities, food, internet, mortgage assistance, SNAP, and more. And we had on the weekend the return of a longtime viewer of this channel. His name is Mark. And you remember Mark, he's the $50,000 guy. He's the guy who got $51,000 for this channel. Guess what? He told his neighbor, or actually not his neighbor, his brother-in-law about his channel, and that neighbor and brother-in-law got big sums of money as well. Let's go over the money you can get starting right today. Get that pen, paper, and also cell phone ready, and we're going to come back to 4 stimulus checks in just a second with that third cluster. But here are the other sums of money you can get right now. First, you can get rent. And the rent you see on this graphic is $27,000. You just saw Jen, which we led with. She got $37,000. Guess what? Mark's brother-in-law got $30,000 of rent. This is big money available right now. I'm going to show you how to get it in just a second. Then when we turn to utilities, we had Johnny over the weekend get $9,000. Well, Mark's brother-in-law got $15,000 for utilities. When we talk about SNAP, Mark's brother-in-law got $21,000. And then when we talk about the multiple sums of money, boy, they keep on growing. So let's go over all this big sums of money starting right now, and what can you get? I'm going to show you how to get that money right now. First, some introductory remarks. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Each place has different eligibility. So if one says no, reach out to the next. Number 2, each has their own pot of money. And finally, every state was dedicated the same amount of money based upon the number of residents in that state. You're going to reach out for rent assistance, home mortgage assistance, and utilities at the following 6 places. Your city hall, your city house authority. Your county hall, your county house authority. Your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Now, if you have not, remember to also reach out to all of your utility companies. So if you have 5 utility companies, you reach out to all of them. Again, say utility assistance because of COVID. Lastly, if you've reached out to all 6 and you've gotten 6 no's, which is very rare, then guess what? We still have the nonprofits. I'm bringing the nonprofits back in the mix today. And those nonprofits were featured in detail on this channel in 2020 and early 2021 in a show called Purple. Well, guess what? Purple comes back tonight on this channel, along with our business lunch grand show coming back tonight in the evening time slot. Here are the nonprofits you can also reach out to in case you have problems with the first 6 and you get 6 no's. Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul, United Way, and Salvation Army. And there you go. The next spot on the money is SNAP, and you should get that. SNAP is available from the Department of Agriculture. Pick up the phone and call them. And the great news is that while Mark's brother-in-law is getting $21,000, he'll be sitting on about $26,000 lifetime. Annualized, because the Department of Agriculture is raising everyone's benefits up lifetime, an average of 25% nationwide automatically starting in October. I can't believe that one YouTube channel will be getting people $26,000 a year a lifetime because of my recording. It's an overwhelming thought, but I'm just so honored to have helped so many people like Mark's brother-in-law. And then finally, the refund check coming back from IRS's landing, and also the refund check coming back from your state. Now, let's go to the third cluster of checks under that that third cluster of checks from the fourth stimulus reconciliation. The third cluster of checks are items that are likely to get to the finish line because we've heard this for several months, not so much in the last few days, but these are items the president has pushed for. And so these checks are likely to get to the finish line. Let me go over some of them, and then I'll explain more about them after the commercial break. Free school meals for all checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, then farmers checks, checks for free internet, checks for for energy assistance, then checks for workers like independent contractors, checks for seniors like dental, vision, and hearing care, and lowering the eligibility age for seniors as well. And after the commercial break, I'm going to go over why the checks for cheaper prescription medication will happen instantly and automatically. You won't have to do anything for this, and why the checks for the internet and the seniors checks are really incredible. Then also after the commercial break, we'll go over how they get this to the finish line, each item at a time. What about those IRS stimulus checks? And then what other checks could be happening and how they get this all together. A lot of details coming up in this jam-packed morning's broadcast as your reconciliation budget bill's first 645 pages are released. In this first look recording, we go over that budget bill and all these incredible checks in there for you. But here first is the community page, a little bit about the volunteers. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues at Mornings LALATE, live from Santa Monica, where it's very cold. Winter's upon us, and in the second half of this recording, we'll be going over more about the first look about that fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill. We're going over all the checks that are in the first 645 pages. We got a lot more pages to go over because it could be upwards of an 8,000-page bill, but the first 645 pages are released. In the final part of this recording, we'll go over the last cluster of checks. Then we'll go over what's still proposed and is still likely to happen. Meantime, we'll cut more to what's going on with the legislators and what they're doing today. So subscribe. A 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. And thank you for yesterday being our most watched day in several months. People are here for information, to learn how to get money, and to learn how to get all these items. With that, let's cut to the important details quickly just about this stimulus. This stimulus starts in September, out for a vote in about November. This stimulus is after fourth stimulus, and it would be that SSI and SSDI reform. I saw a lot of people during the commercial break talking about SSI and SSDI. So step one, they want to propose to raise your benefits up a lifetime. This is you if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits. Step two, they want to apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark is inflation. This morning, Wall Street awoke to a new inflationary number that was released. It was the consumer spending number that was out. It showed inflation went up, but not as high as initially thought, which is good. Not that it's runaway inflation, just transitory inflation. Transitory works great for SSI and SSDI because that spike is likely to happen in December. I'm looking at about 5% potential spike. Let's do the analysis. First, they'll raise your benefits up, then they'll apply a new benchmark. And the benchmark's 5%, your benefits will go up another 5% lifetime, not just next year. They're going to remove the asset cap. They're going to remove the income cap. And then they're going to remove the marriage penalty. So viewers will be able to get married and no longer fear loss of benefits. Will there be a fifth stimulus check next year? The House Ways and Means representatives represent there will be. Finally, if you're on the live chat and you have not become a Purple Hawk and you have not gotten these sums of money on a third stimulus, you need to do it right away. Third stimulus, when it was first talked about in January of this 2021, I got a pre-release, almost a world exclusive on what was proposed on the third stimulus. And immediately I told viewers, oh, you got to be ready for this because when it becomes law, it's first come, first serve. And there's a lot of money in there. When it became law, most of those items got in there and Purple Hawks were bored. I showed viewers that under third stimulus, there's a lot of money in that third stimulus package besides the $1,400 stimulus check, showing you how to get the money for rent, utilities, food, internet, and more. Daily, I deliver to Purple Hawks members of this channel a breakdown of all the big money under third, second, and first that ironically are still paying out so that you get these sums of money that are available for you. So consider becoming a member today so you get access to this incredible money and you can become another success story like Patrice, Loreka, Suelana, and Jen. Congratulations to all of them, getting anywhere from $50 to $38,000. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video as we go back over that third cluster. And I talked about, before the commercial break, two sets of items which are very fascinating. They're proposing to have checks for cheaper prescription medication. Now, this is very fascinating. This is one where you wouldn't have to do anything, and it wouldn't actually come directly to you, but you would instantly, that week, see the benefit in your wallet. How would they do this? It would basically be the federal government having new agreed upon rates for your medication. So let's say you went and got medication on Monday and paid $15 and then had a refill 2 weeks after this became bill. You may pay $5. This is an instant turnaround. This is one of the items the president's very excited about, an instant change and savings in your wallet overnight. Then when we talk about the internet, very fascinating. They want to give fortunes to your local cities so that your local cities would run their own free internet operation, and you would just reach out to your city and they would say, hey, come and get it, and you would get it. Why do I use that as an example? Because while you have to tell the city you exist and that you want it, it would be very, very easy to get it. It would not be anything involved. All right, now let's turn back to where we are in the horizon of first, second, and third clusters of checks. The first cluster we went over early in this recording was the first 645 pages of an 8,000-page bill released. Now understand, it's going to be upwards of thousands of page bill. This is just 645 pages, the easiest items the legislators agreed to. This is not the whole bill. This is not the law. And this is the House side. Democrats on the Senate side absolutely, and may very well add to that. They won't remove something. So if you don't like something in the first cluster, the House Senate, the Senate Democrats aren't going to take it out, but they can certainly add something in there, and they're likely to add something in there. And if Democrats spend more money on the Senate side, when it goes back to the House for validation for the final vote, they're going to say, fine, that's fine. You can add more money in there. Senate Democrats may add totally new provisions or may beef up the numbers, higher percentage rates, higher payouts across the board. The second cluster could likely get released in the next few days because Broadcast Me and myself believe that we're going to start to see more pages of this massive reconciliation release in the next few days. It's not going to be months. It's going to potentially be days, say the Democrats. Third, the third cluster, the one we just ended with, like the checks for seniors, checks for dental, checks for vision, those would likely be also released potentially right near or at the same time as that second cluster. And then, of course, there's likely to be tons of other checks that I never had indication from these legislators of being included. Certainly $4,000 of care for the elderly came from Richard Neal, head of the Ways and Means Committee, but no one really saw it coming. He is the head of the drafting of this, and he got it in there, and that's why it was really a big surprise to us. Finally, the IRS MSCs. The reason why I use the word IRS now to add to it is because there are multiple stimulus checks in here. You're going to qualify for lots and lots of checks in just what I've detailed so far. You also may qualify for monthly checks if you have children. But the reason I'm adding the word IRS to the nomenclature now is to make it clear that we're referring to the things we talked about before on this channel. Well, we have Democrats on both the House side and the Senate side who say they want to give it to you. On the Senate side, I told viewers over 8 weeks ago, pick up the phone and call your Senate Democrats, because when the legislation lands in the Senate during the vote-a-rama, those senators can add more in there. And adding stimulus IRS checks is something they could do. And that's what Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant, his staffer told one of the viewers of his channel. WR was one of the viewers, like Margaret and others, that picked up the phone and called their Democratic senators and said, I need a stimulus check, a advocacy, not a question mark, but an advocacy. And Senator Chris Coons' office said, yes, he will be proposing and putting in a monthly forced stimulus check when it lands in the Senate. Keywords when it lands in the Senate. So he's a Senate Democrat, he's not a House Democrat. So he could add it in during the vote-a-rama. When we're talking about the reconciliation and we're looking at the 645 pages, who wrote this? House side. Well, is there a Senate budget committee? There is. Different from the committee that wrote this one. Now, the one that wrote the 645 pages was the result of agreements between the Senate and House Democrats. But which is the Senate committee? It's the Senate Budget Committee. And who's the chairman? Bernie Sanders. And what did he say about this budget bill 2 weeks ago, now almost 3 weeks ago? He said, unlike prior budget chairmen, I like to get out amongst the people and hear what they want to say about the situation. That was a call to action, say you should be advocating for stimulus checks, IRS stimulus checks. And Brother Joshua, a longtime viewer of this channel, Purple Hawk and community volunteer from 2020, picked up the phone and advocated. So did Lynn Glenn, so did Margaret. And during a conversation that Brother Joshua had with Senator Bernie Sanders' staffer, the staffer says, yes, Senator Bernie Sanders is proposing on the Senate side for Democrats $1,000 to $1,400 monthly stimulus check, somewhere in that range, running from 3 to 6 months, but needs your support. Well, we got this, Purple Power. Pick up the phone and call your Democratic senators, Warren, Wyden, and Sanders, and also your House Democrats as well. Chris Coons on the Senate side, additionally, and advocate. Don't ask. Don't end up with a question mark. Advocate, because they want to hear from you. Bernie's proposal on the high end is about $9,000, a lot of money across the board. Now let's back up and let's recap, because there's a lot of information in just a single video today. We have third stimulus, we have fourth stimulus, and we have fifth stimulus. Third stimulus, gratefully, is still paying, and it's paying a fortune. City Hall, City House Authority, County Hall, County House Authority, State Hall, State House Authority are the 6 places you want to reach out to get that rent, mortgage, and utility assistance because of COVID. You want to call all your utility companies, and also you want to call the nonprofits if you've reached out to 6 of 6 and you got all no's. This money is paying right now, and it's paying a lot, with the rent now going upwards of $30,000, the utilities now going over $10,000, the SNAP going over $21,000 for families, and people getting multiple sums of money. Number 2. Fourth, SNAP is something you should also SNAP you should be getting as well. Number 2, fourth stimulus. The reconciliation budget bill will be in the thousands of pages, but in the first look recording today, in this video, you saw the first 645 pages of a 1,000-plus page bill. In there, lots of checks. Checks that are absolutely wonderful. $4,000 and $50,000 and big payouts or deductions are $7,500. What's important to understand is that the spirit of this channel since day one has been about picking up the phone and calling. I launched this channel in 2020 to show people how to apply, how to learn, how to get money by learning and education. Money paid under the first, second, and third, 90% of it was the result of learning how to do it. Whether it was PPP or EIDL or PEBT or SNAP or PUA or UI. Things needed to be done, and those things need to be done. We're going to a website or picking up the phone or picking out pen and paper and calling. This is where the big sums of money are, and boy, under fourth stimulus, this is where the massive sums of money are. Lots of it. And the great news is that of the first 645 pages released, of which Democrats have agreed upon these provisions, these are a lot of checks, and a lot of checks you qualify for. I'll be showing you in the days to come how to get these checks when it becomes law. The next cluster, those 12 plus items, likely to get reduced to a writing in the next few days because reportedly the Democrats on both the House and Senate side agree to it and just are going over the terms and conditions. The third cluster to follow shortly thereafter. And then we got more pages to write, and we can always get surprises across the board. A lot of details and a lot of stuff. Finally, a personal message. I really want to thank everyone with the very, very kind comments like Larica and Swaylon and Jen for overnight, those wonderful comments. I want to thank all of you for doing such an incredible job with the Purple Patrol. The spirit of this channel is learning. People want to learn how to get money. They want to learn where they apply and how they apply. They want to use the channel for information. This channel launched as an educational channel, not a channel to track, and as a channel to educate. And it doesn't help when one joker jumps into the chat and sort of disrupts the whole microcosm. So you've been doing an incredible job with the Purple Patrol, which has been one of the big successes. And thank you for yesterday being one of the most watched days of this channel. I'm also excited to bring back business grants. Business Lodge, which is coming up tonight, and also Purple, which shows everyone from SSI and SSDI how to get the big sums of money. And then our big hit show of SSI and SSDI, which was actually the title of the show, will be coming back either tonight or tomorrow. So much coming back, and it's very, very exciting. So with that, I look forward to seeing you next on Mornings Crypto, live on air at 10 a.m., then noontime at 11 a.m. We're running a little bit early today as well. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers on YouTube. Reckon I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay with me all day long as potential new parts of the reconciliation bill may be released, and you will have the first one.